afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, or good morning. Joe here with Wellness Wednesday Live, and hopefully we're live. So if you're here watching live, let me know, say hi, and we can dive into a very, very, very important topic that we have planned for you today. It's about the window of tolerance and why some days you cope and other days you don't, you spiral. And at the moment, I'm experiencing it right now, a few minutes late because I've just had 3 grandchildren overnight, 3 8 and 2 7-year-olds overnight, and my window of tolerance, and you'll understand once I get through this this live today, is very low right now. I'm a little weary, didn't have very much sleep, so it couldn't have come at a better time, because I can tell you I'm experiencing it, and I can also, you know, share how I move through that as well. And it's all about understanding your nervous system, and the capacity of your nervous system, and the thresholds. So you know, how you can gently expand them. So this is a really relevant conversation to have, because last week we were talking about the oh my goodness, see, my nervous system is not my nervous system much, it's more I'm tired. So we were talking, I'm just trying to think what the topic was, but because this is actually falling, this is a lead on to that topic, yeah. But I think maybe before I go there, we just take some time, a deep breath together, and get yourself comfortable and begin to arrive in the space. I need to begin to arrive in the space. Let me take a sip of my tea. I just got the granddaughters settled upstairs, so I'm totally present for you. And I feel like, you know, today is going to really land in a massive way for you, and some aha moments may be part of that. So give yourself permission to arrive, not just show up, but to truly arrive. And I've just been sitting here in quiet meditation for 5 minutes before I started, and that's one way that I actually work with the nervous system. So wherever you are right now, you know, whether at your desk, in your car, or just stealing 5 minutes. How often do we just need 5 minutes? I did a few little 5 minutes this morning, and was totally well needed and received for my nervous system. So, you know, stealing those 5 minutes when we're in the chaos can really make the difference on how you feel, and creating a space for you. And you made it. I made it here. A miracle, I made it. I actually made it here. I was thinking, oh, am I going to actually get this live in today? But yeah, I made it, and that's all that really matters. So bear with me while I take some quiet breaths. Please join me for some quiet breaths, gently closing down your eyes, or just or gaze if you feel comfortable, and just take some slow deep breaths through your nose, filling your belly and your chest, and exhaling fully, and a long slow exhale out through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop and your jaw be unclenched. Really, really important to relax fully into the moment. Let this moment be enough for you. Okay, one more breath. And as you do, Just imagine gathering up every demand, every to-do, every worry, every stress that followed you here today, and allowing it to be released just for this little while. So breathing out, releasing anything that's feeling a little tight in your body, any stress in your head, and just set it all down for this time, like I have to right now. Because right now we're here, and that's the main purpose. All right, just dropping into presence, because the intention today, we're not here to push through, and we're not here to fix anything. We're here to understand ourselves and understand ourselves more deeply. Yeah. So bring ourselves back to that place of compassion for the days that do fall apart, the moments that do fall apart, and the wisdom, you know, that you have that helps you hold it all together. Okay, so really important to just understand that things happen, and none of it is anybody's fault. It's just the way that we're wired, and we're going to go into that conversation today. So welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I can't see any comments because I'm on my laptop, but I will check back later. Please feel open to just comment as we go, and if anything resonates with you, or if you have a question, pop it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Just want to ask firstly, if this has ever happened to you, where someone says something, and they say they say something to you on a Tuesday, you're in the workplace, maybe a passing comment from a colleague, or a tone in your partner's voice is a bit different that day, and you just brush it off, because I normally say, oh, they must be having a really bad day. You know, you brush it off and you think nothing of it. That's fine. I can handle it. It's all good. It's not me. They're just having a bad moment. And you just move on, and you move on with your day. Has anyone ever experienced that? I'm just checking my Facebook. Have you ever experienced that? And then, but then the exact same thing happens on Thursday, a couple of days later, same comment, same tone, but this time something in you just snaps, or tears come out, you get emotional, just out of nowhere. And your anxiety spikes, your mind immediately goes to the worst case scenario, actually, which is what we spoke about last week, when our mind flips to the worst case scenario. You find yourself spiraling, and you can't explain it. You're like, well, they actually, this happened, the same situation. Yet you just let it go, you let it brush off. And then you end up wondering, what on earth is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Right? That's pretty common. We think there's something wrong with us when we haven't got control. We can't keep it together. You know, it's an automatic response, a default. We think there's something wrong with us. Yes, I can see someone's watching. Hello, Chris May. Thanks for joining. It took me a while to get present here today. But yeah, so I just want you to know, I want you to hear this today and really let this land. There's actually nothing wrong with you. I look like I'm frozen. Am I frozen? There's nothing wrong with you. Okay? What changed from Tuesday and Thursday wasn't the situation. It was the state of your nervous system. Just let me know if I'm not frozen. So when we talked about catastrophizing last week, you know, the way the mind rushes and goes to the worst possible outcomes when uncertainty arises. If you missed that one, please feel free to go back and watch it. It's up on this site on my in my group, or you'll find it in my YouTube channel. Just reach out and I'll send you the link. But many of you reached out to say, I get it intellectually, like you get it, like it's intellectually we get it, but I still can't seem to stop in that moment. Okay, so today I want to give you the missing piece, because understanding why your brain catastrophizes is one thing. Understanding the biological conditions that make you most vulnerable to it, that's where the real freedom lives. Lies or lives? Lies. What's where the real freedom lies, right? I feel like I keep freezing. So this is really important. This is really important, okay? And it all starts with something called the window of tolerance. Now, you may not have heard it, okay? I guess it would be a very fairly new concept for many, but the window of tolerance is a framework, and it's developed by a neuropsychiatrist, Dr. Daniel Siegel. And the moment most women hear this, something actually clicks, okay? And you really get it, all right? And really understand about why for years, and understand more about themselves, but about why for years you go from, you know, one day being fine to the next day being not fine, okay? And here's the simple version. Imagine your nervous system has a window, okay? A zone where you feel okay, right? You're feeling okay, you're feeling present, you're feeling capable, you're feeling grounded. Not perfect, but regulated, just regulated. And inside that window, you can think clearly. You can respond rather than react. You can handle what life is throwing at you with some degree of grace. Yeah? Does that make sense? So that zone that we're talking about here is your window of tolerance. But unfortunately, life doesn't always keep us inside that window. And when we move outside of it, in either direction, everything can change in a moment. So when we push ourselves beyond our window upward, we move into what's called the hyper arousal, and this is the activated overwhelmed state. And what does it look like? It looks like anxiety. It looks like, you know, your thoughts are racing, you're catastrophizing, and the worst case scenario, which we talked about last week, you're irritable, you're snapping at people you love, your heart could be racing, chest tight, you can't really breathe deeply, it's very shallow breathing, and you're feeling like everything is urgent and nothing is safe. So you're rushing, trying to get it all done because it's not feeling safe. Does that sound familiar? Let me know in the comments. Does that sound familiar? And when we're pushed beyond our window downward, we move into hypoarousal, right? And I can put this in a written form so you truly understand it. And this is where we shut down, we disconnect. It's a disconnection state. And what that looks like is you're numb. It's you're flat, you're empty, you just, oh, there's nothing, you're exhausted. And the type of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Like you could have 12 hours sleep and you still feel exhausted. You have difficulty in making decisions or feeling anything at all. You shut down. You go through the motions without really being present, right? You're just doing the automatic thing because the body knows how to be automated. We think the same thing every day, so it learns the same thing with behaviours that don't serve us. Okay? And you're feeling invisible to yourself. Invisible to yourself. And I'd like to probably say that the first state, called hyperarousal, is that fight-flight state, and the hypoarousal is that fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, the freeze state. All right, so both. Okay, and your nervous system either goes into fight, flight, or freeze, fawn. And many women I work with cycle between the two states. They bouncing from anxious, overwhelmed to total shutdown, and they have never really understood why. They just thought they were inconsistent, they were unreliable, they were too sensitive, they were undisciplined. And many of these women, beat themselves. Okay, they were none of that. They were simply living outside their window. And no one had ever shown them the map. All right, so today I'm showing you the map. And then here's what I truly see in women that I work with, and perhaps in you too. You might recognize this. High achieving women, they tend to have a narrower window of tolerance than they even realize. Not because they are weak, not because they've spent years running on empty. Well, yes, it's because they've spent years running on empty, but they override the signals. They don't listen, they don't see or hear or feel the signals because they're so in that zone of window of tolerance. Okay, so they're just white-knuckling their way through stress rather than actually processing that. Does that make sense? Every time you push through instead of resting, every time you swallowed your feelings to keep the peace, man, how many of us do that? We'll just say nothing, got to keep the peace. I watched my mum suffer tremendously. It actually took her to her grave, keeping the peace, having this sort of stress in her body. And every time you keep giving when your cup is already full, right? You were quietly shrinking that window. Unaware, nobody's fault. We don't know until we know. And now we know we can do something about it. And so now the window that you once had wide open to hold all the demands in life has narrowed, right? Slowly, slowly, slowly. And I see it as we get older as well. If we don't process all this, we don't release all this and start, giving more to ourselves, those demands of life, they eventually catch up. Yeah? So I just want you to understand, it's not a character flaw. It's not a character flaw at all. It's it's biology, basically. And biology can be changed, and that's what we're talking about today. How to change this window. So the window narrows in response to conditions. Some will recognize it immediately, right? But some won't because we're so entrained, we're so programmed, right? Let me tell you, some of the things that will narrow your window is poor or broken sleep. Like I had last night. Poor or broken sleep with three, young ones in the house, all very excited. The single fastest way to shrink your window overnight is to have, poor sleep. And by the way, I'm creating something for you women that are struggling in this area. Okay, and I'll let you know if it's something that you struggle with. Let me know. I can give you a protocol that will support you in this. Chronic stress. If you continue to be in stress state without any recovery time, this gets accumulated. And there's no pressure valve, there's no release valve. It just continues to get built up in your body, in your nervous system. Unprocessed emotion. Okay, feelings that you've never felt, that you keep down. You've never felt them, you've never named them, you've never moved them through your body. Physical depletion, like poor nourishment, no movement, chronic pain or illness. And by the way, usually a result of the nervous system, not the window being small. We can't even think to get our physical energy revitalized. Relational stress. If you're if you're carrying tension, or you have conflict in your relationship, or your close relationships, your personal relationships, and your intimate relationship. Sensory overwhelm. Like we have noise, we have screens, we have notifications. We're always, in the screen mode. Turn your notifications off, please. Do yourself a favor. Put your phone on flight mode at night, please. All right? Because we're so entrained in answering every person in every moment. They ting, ding, 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 all the phone rings. Okay? Little things that will make a huge difference. Unresolved trauma is one too. Old wounds that remain open beneath the surface, okay, of your daily functioning. They're just running behind the scene, and behind the screen. Okay, we haven't actually looked at them, we've dealt with them. And just notice that, what I'm talking about. Most of these actually are invisible, right? They're invisible to the outside world. Nobody would even know. You can look completely fine, capable, or put it together, professional, while your window has quietly shrunk to almost nothing. Right? So it's all internal. And then someone uses the wrong tone on a Thursday, and everything just falls apart because it's been building up. And now you understand why. Well, hopefully you understand why. So I want to offer you a reframe that I hope you'll carry with you beyond today. The next time you feel yourself spiraling, the next time you snap, you shut down, you catastrophize, you fall apart over something that shouldn't really be a big deal, something simple, right? Because it's not about you, it's about them usually. If someone's saying the wrong thing or looking at you the wrong way. My goodness, I remember a teacher looked at me the wrong way as a young kid, and then every time someone looked at me that way, it would bring up that same experience and I would react. Okay? And it was nothing to do with them. It was a past trauma, I guess, a past wound. I wouldn't call it a trauma at that point, but a past wound that had embedded deeply. So next time somebody looks at you the wrong way, just instead of asking what is wrong with me, ask Where am I in my window right now? Where am I in my window right now? Because that single question moves you from self-judgment into self-awareness right there. And self-awareness is where the healing begins. It also means that the goal is no longer to be someone who never gets triggered, right? Because we all get triggered. We're human beings, right? There's so many layers and there's so many wounds that we've experienced along the way. The goal is actually to understand your window, to know what shrinks it and to know what expands it. And to build a life and a practice that keeps you regulated more often than not. And this is the work I do, the practices, right? How you begin to expand your windows is through practice, is through processes, is through tools that you can practice. So there's no quick fixes, right? And I talk about this almost every week. Everything is a practice. I used to say practice makes permanent. My grandson corrected me this morning. What did he say? Practice makes, he said, we don't use perfect because we don't believe in perfect. I'll think of it in a minute. I should have him here. See? My windows is a bit it's a bit short right now. So, you know, the more consistent you can be in bringing all of these practices together, the more resilient your nervous system becomes. Yeah? Because you have the tools to regulate it in that moment when you feel yourself leaving the window. In that moment, you can bring in the tools. Even just a sigh, a physiological sigh, yeah? Like a double inhale through the nose and a long exhale through the mouth can re-regulate you. Research shows this is the fastest way to, down-regulate the nervous system in real time. So that little simple practice, yeah? Or try grounding yourself. Like if you're in an office specifically, you can't get out into the nature, to the ground and put your feet on the ground and ground yourself. Something you can do is just see five things you can see. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch in your environment, and 3 things you can hear. This will bring your prefrontal cortex back in line with your amygdala when it's taken over. So very simple, aren't they? And daily practices like this will really, over time, automatically bring you back without you even having to think about it. Okay, changing it in that moment. And I personally have a morning routine that I am very, very rigid and religious with, except when I've got 3 grandchildren staying with me. But even this morning, I made 20 minutes for my yoga. And I said, this is my time. This is my 20 minutes. You guys go and do what you need to do. I need this time for me. I have a really new understanding, and I was a single mum of 4, but I have forgotten how hectic it can be. Like I think breakfast took us 2 hours this morning. I'm so out of touch because grandma's, is a restaurant. Don't you know that? They all like different things. But anyway, that's what grandmas do. But just my morning routine, movement. Enjoy something that you move and do something you enjoy. Dance around the kitchen. Put on some music. It's pleasure for the body, right? I'm not talking about having to spend hours at the gym, just simple movement to release the energy from your body. Consistent protected sleep, I can't stress this more. Sleep is a non-negotiable. It's a luxury. And by the way, I have a really, really cool hack. If you have had inconsistent sleep or a bad night, so this afternoon, about when I drop the children off, the grandchildren off, I will make 20 minutes to do a yoga nidra. A yoga nidra is a relaxation process that can bring you back into your body, and it feels like you've had 8 hours sleep. Incredible. Another quick hack. And I mean, 20 minutes you can, or 15 minutes even, 10 minutes even, to just relax the parts of the body and feel like you're regulating, while you're regulating your nervous system, and feel like you've had 8 hours sleep. Hallelujah. Okay, spending time in nature. We all know that's proven to regulate the nervous system, right? At a biological level. Conscious breath work. Even 5 minutes before your day begins, just to get you set. Okay? And also felt emotional release. I often can feel emotional releases in yoga when I do my yoga. Or if I'm journaling, if I'm really letting my feelings out, I can have a release of emotions. Like there's many, many ways. Having an honest conversation with a partner can bring up the emotions. Otherwise we bottle it up and then they explode and they come out not so pretty. Okay, so co-regulating, having safe, warm human connections, people you can actually hug. Hugging is a regulator, a nervous system regulator, right? We need to hug more. Hug your children if you don't have a close one, a relationship. So these are things that you can do on a daily basis. So most of these are really simple too. And they're not costly. You're not spending any money. And your nervous system does need, it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, it's a simple thing. All it needs is consistency, safety, and care. Consistency, safety, and care. So, my lovelies, I'd like to invite you to sit with this question for just one moment. Where in your life have you been pushing through, overriding your body's signals, ignoring those signals, and ignoring the narrowing of your window, essentially, and calling it strength, calling it, I'm strong. You don't need to be strong. So where in your life you've been pushing through, ignoring all those signals, overriding your body's indicators. And then ask yourself, what might it feel like to call it what it actually is, which is depletion. Depletion. Give yourself permission to tend to that depletion. Please do. It's imperative. Because you cannot pour from a nervous system that has nothing left. You can't think your way out of it. You can't think your way out of the state of your body. Something has to shift. And until you make that shift, nothing shifts. So your nervous system is not your enemy. You've got to know that. It's everything. And it's not proof that you're broken. It's not proof that you're too sensitive or incapable, because we're all capable. That's why we get to this state, trying to do it all. It's a finely tuned biological system that has been doing its absolute best, often in conditions that were never sustainable, in environments that were never sustainable. So understanding your window of tolerance doesn't just explain the hard days, it gives you a map, all right? And when you have a map, you are no longer lost. You are simply navigating. So the goal isn't to just simply eliminate those hard days. The goal is to understand them, to tend to yourself within them, and to go slowly, gently, and rebuild your nervous system that feels more like home in your body, and in the way that we're meant to be, calm, connected. So if today's conversation is landing for you, and you recognize that your window is narrowed, and you're cycling between overwhelm and shutdown, confusion about why some days you cope and other days you don't, I'd love to sit with you in a conversation. The work I do goes right to the root of the nervous system patterns, using NLP, hypnosis, regression therapy, somatic tools, to help you not just understand the window, but genuinely expand it safely and sustainably at a level that will last. So you're really welcome to book a complimentary chat with me, and we can explore what that could look like for you. And you may have noticed some of the stories that I post each week of women that have done the work, and how different their world is, and how they're achieving more with ease, creating the life they love. Okay, so just know that some days you're going to cope, some days you're going to spiral, and now you know how to, manage it with the map. And it was never about your strength. You don't have to be strong. It's always about your window. And your window can be widened. And it can be widened more easily with support. You know my motto, support is your superpower. So my lovelies, thank you for listening. If you have any questions on this topic, please feel free to reach out. Book a call, let's have a chat. No obligation. Let's just see where you're at. Lots of love. Big hugs. I'll see you Monday for manifestation meditation. Bye for now.